Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and I just wanted to talk to you for a few minutes about things we can learn from relationships with narcissists. Now, aside from the two most important things we can learn from these relationships, which is number one, how to recognize a narcissist, and number two, how to truly love ourselves, there are some other really important things that we can learn, so I thought we could talk about that for a few minutes. I can't control or change what other people think, feel, say, or do. This is a really, really important lesson. The majority of stress and pain in people's lives comes from trying to control things that we have no control over, or to manage things that it's not possible for us to manage because we don't control them. So learning this lesson helps alleviate a huge amount of that stress. Some people are beyond my ability to help, and that's okay. Some people are beyond anybody's ability to help, either because they're so far gone that you just can't reach them, or because they don't want any help, and no one's going to be able to help them. So learning when this is the case is really, really important. Some people don't want help or to do the work, even if they say that they do. This is really important as well. You have to learn to look at people's actions and see if they match their words. Because there are some people who will say over and over again that they really do want help or they really do want to do the work. But when you look at their behavior, you see that this is really not true. They're not really willing to do anything. So it's really important to learn to look at people's actions in most situations, but especially in this one. It really can be too late for some things. Now, there are some things that it's never too late for. It's never too late to learn to take care of yourself better, or to love yourself more, or to acquire a new skill or go back to school. But there are some things that it can be too late to do. For example, if someone never had a relationship with their children, never even tried to have one until their child was 30 years old, it could be too late. The child may have moved on and not see a place for you in their life. If someone has been telling their spouse for 5 years, hey, if things don't change around here, then I'm going to leave. By the time they are taken seriously, it may be too late. They may have moved on and not care about that anymore. If you are trying to teach compassion and respect and empathy to someone who is already an adult, it can be too late for them to learn these things. So it's really important to learn whether or not what you're doing even has a possibility of succeeding, because sometimes it doesn't. It can be too late. I can really try and still not succeed. This is important because, especially in Western culture, we're really taught that, if you try really hard and you put in your best effort and you work really hard, you're going to get what you want. And sometimes that's not true. It's just not true. There are times where you can try your hardest and you still don't succeed at what you're trying to do. It's really important to learn that, and learn that it doesn't necessarily mean you have to try harder. Sometimes it means that this is just not going to work, no matter what you do. Not everyone has good intentions or deserves multiple chances from me. Not everybody is a good person. Not everybody is going to do the right thing if you give them chances. It's very important to learn when this is the case, because there are some people that you will give them multiple chances and it doesn't matter. They're not going to do the right thing, either because they don't want to or because they don't care, they don't know what the right thing is. There's different reasons for this. But it's important to learn that not everybody deserves multiple chances, because not everybody is going to do good things if you give them a chance. I won't always get what I believe I deserve or what I consider to be fair. There's a lot of people say, well, life's not fair, but that's not something that is really internalized, I think, by everybody, because a lot of people go around trying to make life fair. And a lot of times it's just not. And how we can alleviate our stress in those situations is by learning how to deal with that, because it does happen. You will not always get what you think is fair or what you think you deserve. So learning how to deal with that, how to make the best of it, or how to move on to a situation where it is possible for you to get those things is really, really important. I'm the only person in charge of and responsible for myself. You know, nobody's coming to save us, right? I mean, as they say, there are no boats for nobody. And so, one of the things that's really important to learn is that this is your responsibility. We're all adults. No one's coming to save us. No one's going to take care of these things for us. We have to do it. The good news is you don't need someone to do it. And gaining some confidence and some trust in yourself is going to get you far down the road to understanding that. Someone else's opinion of me does not define me, no matter whose opinion it is. Point blank, period. It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks of you. What matters is what you think of you, what you know is true. My perception is not the only one. If dealing with narcissists teaches us nothing else, it teaches us that there are some people out there whose perception of things is really, really different than yours. Learning that is really important because on a less extreme scale, everyone we run into has different perception. So keeping that skill in your back pocket can really, really help you with stress, can help you with dealing with people. It's a really important skill. It's a very important lesson to learn. Other people's behavior is about them. My behavior is about me. This can help you enormously with not taking things personally. Other people's behavior is about them and what they think and what they've experienced and what they believe and how they see things, their perception. Yours is too. So it's really, really important to learn that. That's how we learn not to take things personally. If I have to prove my worth to someone, the relationship is not for me. That one needs no explanation. If you have to prove to somebody that you're worth them treating you decently or them caring about you, then you need to just move on. I'm not always right or correct. Learning that you're not always right or correct and turning that into a situation where you can learn more, where you can be okay with that, really helps with alleviating shame that can be around that. If there's one thing we can learn from narcissists, it's that refusing to admit that you are not always right or not always correct is extremely stressful and exhausting for people. They are the poster children of how that type of rigid thinking can really damage and hurt someone's life and their relationships with other people. Everyone has unhealthy reactions, coping mechanisms, or behaviors, including me. Listen, we all get pushed to a point. Everybody has certain things about themselves that they could work on. And if there's one thing that narcissistic relationships show us, it's what these things are. Because if there's one thing you can say about these relationships, it's that they have the potential to really bring out the worst in people. So learning that and taking a learning point of view toward it and working on these things makes everybody a better person, helps everyone accept themselves more. This is super important, and it really is a growth mindset. I am not required to be a certain way or do certain things to have worth. Dealing with narcissistic people is so rigid. It's so black and white. It's you have to do this and this and this and this and this and this, or not only do you not care about me, but I'm not going to care about you. And if there's one thing we learn from these relationships, it's that this is unreasonable. It's unreasonable. It's not fair. You're not a bad person, or you're not undeserving of love and caring and decency because you bought the wrong kind of milk, or, I mean, it's just ridiculous the way some of these things go. And so learning that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to put yourself out there for people and always choose yourself last in order to have worth. Really, really important. I am responsible for dealing with the consequences of my choices, even if I didn't realize what they would be. This is a hard one, and it's responsible sometimes for a lot of denial. But the truth is, even if we did not know what the long-term consequences were going to be for us, for our families, for our children in our lives, it doesn't matter because we're still responsible for dealing with those things. We're still accountable for them. That's a hard lesson. But whenever we can stand up to it, it helps us to learn. It helps us to grow. It is arrogant and unhealthy to believe that I can save somebody from themselves. Think about what that means. It's not my job to correct, manage, fix, or save other people. Not only is it not your job, but a lot of times it's not even really possible. You can't fix somebody that doesn't think there's a problem and doesn't want to do the work to fix themselves. You can't manage someone else's behavior because you're not responsible for their behavior. You're not in charge of their behavior. You cannot change them and you cannot save them. Some people don't want to be saved. No matter what they say, no matter what you think, it doesn't matter. They just don't want to. They're not willing to do the work. You can throw somebody a life preserver all day long, but if they don't grab it, then they don't. And that's all there is to it. My self-esteem is about what I think about me, and only about that self-esteem. It's not about what other people think of you. Self-esteem is about what you think of you. In many ways, the only relationship that matters in your life is your relationship with yourself. And the only person's opinion of you who truly matters, who can truly affect you, is your own. Learning that saves so much stress and pain. Truly, truly it does. It's okay to end relationships with anybody, no matter who it is. If it's your mom, if it's your spouse, if it's your child. If someone is toxic, if they're unhealthy, it's okay to end this relationship. It doesn't mean you're not going to feel bad, but that doesn't mean you did something wrong because you feel bad. Really important to learn that. It doesn't matter who it is. You're not required to have a relationship with anybody. Sometimes people will say, well, it's good and fine to say we should stay away from the narcissist if they're our spouse, but what if they're your mom? And what if they're your family member? Well, what if they are? It's still the same no matter what. You are not required to be around anybody who hurts you, who makes you feel bad. You're not required to have a relationship with anybody, no matter what anybody says, it doesn't matter. That's the way they think. That's their philosophy. That's their life. Childhood conditioning is much more important than people realize. It's always amazing how many people really don't understand the impact that their childhood environment or experiences or conditioning has on them. And this is probably because the effect is so deep that they may not even realize, or they might not even notice. But this is a lot more important than a lot of people realize. It's how you're socialized to the world. It's literally where all your beliefs and everything came from. It's really, really important. And acknowledging that can unlock a lot of doors for people. It's not heartless or cold to refuse to allow abusive or toxic people in your life, even if they're not consciously being harmful. That's really important. There are some people who don't realize that they're being harmful, or that they're hurting other people, or that their behavior is toxic. But if you tell them that and they still keep doing it, I mean, you really don't have any other choice. Because if you don't want that in your life, if you want to be healthy, then you have to make the decision that you have to make. And this is not heartless or cold. You have to take care of you. As we stated, you are responsible for yourself, and nobody else is going to do it for you. So it's up to you to decide, what do I allow in my life and what don't I allow in my life. And once again, someone else's opinion of you being heartless or cold, well, you know what? You know that's not true. Your opinion is the one that matters. So it's really all about shifting the perspective about these things and understanding that you're not doing anything wrong. Trying to take care of yourself is not wrong. Focusing on or trying to solve other people's problems will never help me help myself. It's a beautiful thing to want to help other people. But if this is getting in the way of you taking care of yourself, if it's a distraction so that you don't have to look at your own problems, if it's causing you to betray yourself, it's not okay. Period. No equivocation. It's not okay. I alone decide what my life will be like. When it comes down to it, at the very bottom of it all, outside of our conditioning, outside of our genetics, outside of our experiences, outside of our environment. We are defined and have complete and total power over our choices. We alone have the power to decide how this is going to go. That is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn. That's the key to everything right there. Boundaries are the most important skill I can acquire. Full stop, right? Point blank, period. Boundaries are the number one tool for self-care and self-love. Everything else falls in line behind those. That's the number one first line of defense right there. And the biggest reason they are the key is because in order to practice boundaries, you have to understand self-love and self-respect. It's all a line of dominoes, right? And boundaries in many ways are the first one. I can choose not to let someone else's harmful behavior affect my life and my beliefs and my faith in things or anything else. Now, yes, it's true. Someone doing something harmful can have an effect on you. But it's up to you to decide how much of an effect is this going to be. Is it going to destroy your faith in humanity? Are you going to just give up? That's up to you. 100% totally up to you, right? Really, really important to understand that is a choice, even if it doesn't feel like one. Even if it doesn't feel like one. You can decide, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this change the way I look at things. I'm not going to let this make me a different person than who I know I am and who I want to be, right? Loving myself is not just about avoiding pain or injury. It's about what's actually best for me. Sometimes what we want and what we need are not the same thing. And it's really important to learn that some of the decisions that we make in order to avoid discomfort are actually not what's best for us. So it's really important to learn that loving yourself is not just about making sure you never feel bad. It's also about doing what's best for you, regardless of whether it's what you want to do or not. Suffering and self-betrayal do not prove love. It doesn't matter how much you suffer or how much you betray yourself to try to show someone that you care. A lot of times that's what we see. Well, look what all I have been through. How can you not see that I care? Well, if they were someone that understood what love was, it wouldn't have had to go this way anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to prove something to somebody that doesn't even understand what language you're speaking at all. They don't get it. And it definitely does not help your relationship with yourself. Suffering and self-betrayal do not prove that you love somebody. They don't prove love to yourself or to anybody. Really important lesson to learn. Understanding my own motivations is extremely important. One of the most important questions that you can ask yourself is, what is this really about? Why am I doing this? What am I trying to do? What am I really trying to do? Inside the answers to those questions is the solutions to any problem, behaviors, or challenges that you find within yourself. What am I really trying to do? What is this about? What need am I trying to fulfill, or what discomfort am I trying to avoid? Like, what am I trying to do? Whenever we can figure out what this is really about, what are my motivations, then we can find a better way, a healthier way to address these things that doesn't involve doing things that we know we shouldn't do, saying things that we know are untrue, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to share these things with you. And if you can think of any other lessons that we can learn from these relationships, please put them in the comments below and share them with the community. So I hope that cleared a few things up for you. May the Great Spirit bless you. Have a beautiful day.